Welcome back to the Just Another Moment podcast, and today we are on episode number 5 with Shiva, who overcame anxiety, overthinking, depression and OCD to become happy and brave. She shares a really amazing story. She shares a little bit about her travel experiences as well, because that's the sort of podcast we are. We want to talk about all things travel and mental health and overcoming our challenges. But it's a really, really beautiful story. She has a really good message, and she really wants to share more about how she is able to help people overcome anxiety, depression and overthinking through subconscious programming. And essentially she treats unresolved trauma at the root level. So her aim is to help people become happier and braver through her guidance. This is a really great episode. I hope you enjoy. Hi guys, welcome to Just Another Moment podcast, and this is our 5th episode, and today I'm really excited to bring you a very special guest who works in the space that I work in, with overcoming anxiety, overthinking, depression, OCD, and ultimately getting to a place where we can be happy and brave in life to take on life's challenges. So welcome, Shiva. Really happy to have you here. How's your week been so far?
My week's been very peaceful and great. Yeah, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to speak to you, who is also in the same space field, and our vision is like so aligned. I'm really very, very excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we came across each other inside the school communities, and I find like what I found with school has been really good to meet people which are on a very similar mission, or in some cases the exact same mission, and then you go, oh, maybe I'm not so alone in this world in trying to help people deal with their challenges. It's like a really special place, and I think one of the coolest things with school is there's just so many of us that connect, and we share our lessons, and we seek advice, and we're able to go there to get that, and also feel supported as well, which I really have enjoyed over the last couple of months. So
Yes.
So with you, there's like a little bit of your story I'd love to hear a little bit more about, around, like you said, you had struggled for a long time with anxiety in your life, and there's been obviously like that overthinking, and depression has crept in as well. So would you like to share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So yes, my anxiety started when I was 15. So I was approaching my board exams, and like parents in India, they are like so like they give so much of importance to the board exams, because it's like a foundation for everything that's gonna come. So I was given so much pressure that I have to score so well, and the family's economy is dependent on me, and I'm the eldest child. I have to do it. So I faced so much of stress from then. So I was like, like my life started since then, and I was anxious, but I was also productive that year. That entire year, when I was 15, I woke up at 4 a.m., go to sleep by like 8:30 in the night. I was fully productive, didn't even waste a minute, but I was anxious all the time, worrying about the results, overthinking. That is when it all started. So eventually, I was just following the crowd blindly, respecting the elders. I have been a very obedient, shy child. So, like validation from them is so important to me. And so I was following the crowd, learning well. I was academically, very good, definitely in the top 5, 10. Even in college, I got dual placement. Then I went into IT, for as a coder, as a developer. So that was not so pleasant, and it was not my cup of tea. And I lost motivation to go to work every day with excitement. The validation from the elders in the office, who can promote me, like, when they give validation a little, it felt good, nice. But again, I felt like, what am I really doing? What is my purpose? Why am I here? what is all this about? And eventually, some things did not happen the way I wanted it to, like work recognition or relationship or anything. So till then, it was all like, I made efforts, I got the results. But after a point, I did not get the results. So that made me go down into the rock bottom, depression so hard that I was so suicidal. I went to the train tracks and I came back home, um, thinking, okay, let me try to find some solutions. Maybe there are some people who are doing happy. My overthinking stopped me from killing myself. Um, I was thinking, what if I, like born very horribly than the current life in the next life? So let me not do that. What if that happens? So that overthinking, that fear stopped me, and I started looking for solutions, being curious. How some people are so happy? Is that even a possibility? So that is how my journey out of the depression started.
Yeah, amazing. That's such a beautiful story, and like so similar to mine as well. It's crazy. You said 15 years old when you started feeling really anxious. Like I was diagnosed with depression when I was 15, and
Mm.
and I guess when you like suffer, when you're struggling in those spaces and you start to like really suffer from that in your mental health, you sort of like go down a path of like that becomes your identity for a little while, right? And it's so hard to like dig yourself back out of that. And you mentioned the same things that I questioned myself as well, like purpose and meaning. And I used to ask these things like, what's the purpose of life? What is the meaning of life? And it took me so long to realize that it's not about what is the purpose of life. It's not about what life has got to give me or what like the world has got to give me. It's about like what I've got to give to the world. So I changed it to what is my meaning in life, what is my purpose in life, and that's where it sort of started to shift for me. And I wondered, like you mentioned, when you were depressed and like really kind of bad, you walked down to the train tracks, and what was the shift in your mind at that point? Was it more around, well, other people seem to be happy, how can I, like, do you want to go into a bit deeper on that?
So I came back home. I procrastinated to kill myself that day. I came back home. And then I realized over the time I can't kill myself. So I need to find a way to live happily. This is so boring, being a victim, being depressed, overthinking, struggling with OCD. I didn't know I was actually under all these labels then. But I was so sure that at a point, like I have got to figure out my way. This is not working. Something is wrong. Maybe there is some solution out there. Maybe I can at least try. So that is when it started. And I had a curiosity. So that helped me a lot. I was curious, how is that done? Like, what is fear? Like, what is, happiness? What is true happiness? Are somebody really happy? How can I do that? Some people in the, like social media or influence, they're also traveling so happily. How are they doing it? How some people are so happy with money and even without money? So that is when it started. Then I was like following social media, um, therapists, coaches in that, attending lives, looking for free solutions, and that went on. Like looking for free solutions went on for like another like 6 or 8 months. Then I came across this movie called Eat, Pray, Love. That was one of the pivotal, like points towards change, the better change in my life. So I watched that movie, cried with that movie. Then I got the book, which helped me shift one of my habits, which is uncontrollable crying. When somebody triggers me, I used to be like, oh, used to be a lot of tears. So
Mm.
that book helped me. Reading that entire book, um, it helped me change that one thing. Then I got a positive proof. Okay, so I can do something better. So then I started for looking for solutions for other problems, and I had. I learned from so many, top coaches and mentors from all around the world, Scotland, Russia, US, and I'm still learning. And there is
Yeah.
still a long way to go, but I'm so proud where I am today, where I feel peaceful, calm, and that is a possibility. That this today is, was once an impossible dream. So if I can live that, anybody can.
Yeah. No, I love that so much. Like that's yeah, it's so good because it is a choice, right? Like you get to these crossroads and it is, I do this, or if I can't do that, then I have to do this. And that was like for me is when anytime I thought about taking my life, it was a case of thinking about the people that were in my life that I would upset, let down, disappoint. And my one thing is like I hate disappointing people. So I was like, well, I can't do that. I couldn't take myself away from my family and my friends. And so then I was like, damn it, because now I have to live. I don't have a choice, you know, I don't have a choice to live. But then in not having a choice to live allowed me to choose how I wanted to live. You know, like, am I going to continue to live this sad, like lonely, like stressed out life, or is there another way to live? Is there another option? And like everything you're saying is like so translatable, which in a way makes me think that it's so like, you know, like you're in India, I'm in Australia, I was born in England, and it makes you realize that so many people are actually feeling the same things. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, like we're still feeling it. And then we have that choice to make. And everyone is born in different circumstances and grown up in different circumstances. But ultimately, it's a choice on who do you want to be and how do you want to be in life. So yeah, I really like that. And the other thing as well, you mentioned like your study, you were like a high achiever in the school, and this was like I was up until I sort of like just gave up on it, and you know, and I just didn't enjoy education at the time. But the full circle has been, you know, later life, well, not later life, but like as I've grown up, I've gone back to study and learn. And this is one thing you mentioned is like you've got, you know, you've done a lot of learning, but you've got so much more to learn as well. And do you think the education side of things is something that keeps you moving forward and keeps you like passionate about life?
Yes, there is always learning. We, even if we learn everything, I don't think it's possible to learn everything about mental health and life. We keep on learning, and when we implement the learnings, there is like the deeper realizations. So it will always be there. As long as we have challenges, we are gonna learn something from it. So it's how we perceive it and take it, and we go ahead. There will always be learning. There has to be a learning. Only then there will be growth. Otherwise,
Yeah.
there will be just victim.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree on that. And I think if we're always in a space where we can learn and learning equals growth, then we're not stuck and we're not staying in the same place as where we are. And for a lot of people that, well, my experience, at least with like depression, was I wasn't learning anything and therefore I wasn't growing. And the only thing I was growing frustrated at my personal circumstance that kept me in the same position that I was. And I wasn't able to shift that because I wasn't doing anything about it. And so the longer you sit in a uncomfortable position, it kind of is weird in the sense that you stay there because it's comfortable and it's what you know, but it's uncomfortable in the long term of your life and you just don't want to be in that space. And for so many people, 20, 30, 40 years later, you go, oh man, like I don't want to live like this anymore. You know, so I think like the messaging is, you know, how can we get people to not settle for that comfort zone so they can actually enjoy life and look back and go, look at everything I've done. Like I'm happy and I'm proud of that. So yeah, I definitely think the education side of things is super, super important. Is there one side of the education that you think is most valuable for people? Like if you were to say that you should learn this one thing to get started, like what do you think that would be?
The one thing to get started is like have an open mind to experiment bravely. I think bravery is the foundation skill of everything. Confidence comes from that, learning comes from trying. So I think bravery is the foundation upon which we can build everything. So if you have to learn how to be brave, learn how to be okay, not to be liked by everyone. It takes a lot of courage and bravery to get out of the comfort zone and to really become our true selves. So to be yourself, I think that's the best learning one could do.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think what you mentioned there with bravery is it's not easy. It takes a little bit of courage, right? And like one of my like favorite sort of like people in this space, author like Brené Brown, and she shares that it takes vulnerability to have courage, but also you need to be courageous to be vulnerable. So it's this sort of like catch-22 in a way that like, what, is it the chicken or the egg? What comes first? But it absolutely is. If you're courageous enough to be vulnerable, to be brave, or if you're vulnerable enough to be courageous enough to be brave, then you're able to put yourself in a very cool space where you open doors for new opportunities, you learn something new, and you have these new experiences, which, anytime there's a new experience, whether it be good or bad, it creates a feeling in your body and in your life. And if you're feeling, then you're living. And I think that's a really cool takeaway. But yeah, definitely bravery. I think, that's a really good place to start. What do you think is the most important thing when it comes to bravery? Like if someone is a little bit lacking in confidence and scared to do something, like how would you say be brave?
I would say start small, start easy. Of course, we can't go from 0 to 100 in just one day. To have an extraordinary life, we have to start from where we are, like slightly better decisions, slight experimentations out of the comfort zone, small improvements, like 1% improvement every day. Everybody knows that, but it's so hard to implement. So we have got to just start and start small, like start easy, just do it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And yeah, the 1% every day for a year is 308% growth. So no, it's definitely so true. I think a lot of people go into a space and go, I'm going to make a change and I'm going to do this. And, if it's, say, run a marathon, for example, they go, I'm going to run a marathon next month. But if they've never trained for it, it's going to be really, really hard, or they might end up quitting or getting injured and so on. So it's about the small steps of consistency to allow to get there. Go on a 1 kilometer run, and then the next day maybe do a 1 kilometer run with a 500-meter walk, and then the next day do a 1.5 kilometer run, and eventually you'll build up to that. But it is that consistent action that allows people to really grow. And one thing I've recognized recently, I've been listening to a podcast of two comedians, and they talk a lot about how long they've been in the game of comedy and being in stand-up and stuff. And they've only just really started making it big in the last 5-10 years or so, but they've been doing it for 20, 25, 30 years. And so it just goes to show, like, these comedians, which are really now global superstars in the comedy scene, it took them 10, 15 years of doing something and not really succeeding, not really doing well. And then all of a sudden, all of those years of experience really made them the masters of their craft, which allowed them to just blow up. And it's a really long game. And I think in the world now of instant gratification, we definitely struggle with that because we just want something straight away, And like for me personally, it's like I've always had this thing in my head that I want to base jump off a cliff, but I'm scared of heights. And I've never skydived. So it's like, if I wanted to do that, I'm obviously not going to like get my stuff and jump off a cliff. It would be about, okay, overcoming the fear of heights, going on a skydive, maybe going on a few more, then doing a couple of solo ones, then building up, getting the knowledge and getting the confidence to then eventually do that. If I ever do that, we'll find out. But yeah, I think
Absolutely. Those are very beautiful examples you shared.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I think it's so true. Start small, like really small. And even people that say they want to start getting into reading, like reading a book, I'm going to read 10 pages a day. But if you've never read 10 pages a day, the first thing you need to do is just pick up the book. Don't even read it. Just pick the book up. And then if you've now picked it up, maybe you can read a page, right? And your one page should be your target. And then the next day you can go, oh, I'll read another page. But when you've read a page, you go, oh, I want to know what happens next. So then you start reading too. But having the expectation that I'm going to read a book in a month, if you've never read a book before, you just start with one page and build up. Because if you do get to 10 pages a day, that is your book each month, pretty much. So yeah, I love it. So in terms of what you do now, you help people overcome depression and anxiety, and you work with people, I guess, treat their unresolved trauma. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. That's the meaning of my existence right now. So I love my work. I have taken like 35 plus courses from top coaches and mentors all around the world, and I learned that what you do for a living, it has to make you happy and has to make you feel fulfilled, and that is the only greatest, easiest way to have a long-lasting, happier life. And it took me a while. I messed it up here and there to find my natural talent, but I eventually did. So, which is to help people overcome anxiety, depression, overthinking, OCD, procrastination, or the distraction traps they have. When we have something really important to do, the challenge we need to face. Instead of that, people do everything else, all the coping mechanisms of scrolling, or getting into some addictions with drugs or anything, or sleeping. Some people do go sleep, not face it. So I help them face it. I help them change their thoughts for better. So usually like almost all of our humans, we have like 70,000 thoughts a day, and most of it is negative for most of the people, and it is so automatically negative. So I help people make it automatically positive, so that they can take action with better energy, with better mindset, and face their fears and feel satisfied being themselves.
Amazing.
It's basically happier and braver. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. And that's like so true as well. Like, we don't think about all of the thought processes that run through us each day, and then how much of influence out there gives us these negative thought patterns. So radio, TV shows, newspapers, whatever it is, and then other people surrounding us as well, right? So there's all of these negative influences on our lives, and they just embed in our thought processes and our thought patterns. And so it's really hard to sort of break out of that. And I think there's a thing that it takes 3 pieces of positivity to overcome just 1 piece of negativity. So there's that like negativity bias that you could have like a great day, but if you've had like 3 pieces of like negativity in that day, it could just balance out, or it could just be like, oh, it wasn't a good day, and so it's really important, I think, to find that balance and to actually actively seek these positive things in each day, so you approach life in a more optimistic outlook, I suppose. So what would some things be, do you think, that help people get out of this negativity bias or this negative trap when it comes to thoughts? Having 70,000 a day, and if majority of them are negative, how do we pull ourselves out and away from that?
So the core solution is to do the subconscious programming, taking advantage of the alpha state of mind. Before we go to sleep and right after we wake up, we have to do the subconscious programming with better thoughts. Like I help people shift every disturbing thought they have into positive, which is addressing their deepest fears. And they do the subconscious programming. It is different for different people according to their learning and coping mechanisms. So in that, like 30 minutes of the day, 15 minutes before, after they wake up and before going to sleep. So that is the moment when our mind is like a wet cement, and when we put those positive thoughts, it will just imprint so greatly. And even you said something very beautiful, like, with that negative bias and all those thoughts. So it takes a person to train their mind to notice positivity in today's mental health condition. It takes a lot of effort and practice, definitely. So subconscious programming will definitely help a person to train their mind to notice the good around them. There is a lot of good things, and it is not so easy for a anxious or a depressed person to notice it, right?
Yes.
So I help with that as well, like, training your mind to consistently focus on what's, good that is going around. Our mind naturally focuses on what's missing. It's part of the protective mechanism, but we need to focus on that as well.
Yeah. That actually, like, that connects so well. Like, recently I've been a little bit in my head with certain things, and like, yeah, it definitely is so true. And one thing I reintroduced into my sort of daily habits is like just 4 questions I ask myself in the morning. And I actually call it the mirror challenge, because it's literally written in on my mirror. So every time I brush my teeth, I like look at the questions and I answer them. But it's how am I feeling today? So the first thing is like the awareness piece. How am I feeling? Check in with myself. The second question is who do I want to be today? So how am I feeling? Oh no, yeah, how am I feeling? Who am I today? So I might be feeling tired or a bit grumpy or something. And who am I today? It's like, it could just be, oh, I'm just Arthur. I'm just like regular Arthur. And then it will be, who do I want to be today? So like, if I'm just regular Arthur now, who do I want to be my best self? And there's a thing called the Batman effect, that you can have like almost an alter ego to give yourself this is the person that shows up. This is the person. So you can embody and channel that. And then the final thing is like, what do I want to achieve today? And so it's sort of like awareness, connection, intention, and then backed up with more intention to really follow through. And I think for people, it could just be as simple as, what do I want to achieve today? I want to make one person smile, right? And just something so simple, because then in your day, as you're living, you go, oh man, I haven't made anyone smile yet. Like, how can I make that happen? Because if I can make someone else smile, then that's a good moment in the day, right? So I really like that. That's like, subconscious programming allows us to really like understand us, but also connect with the positive thoughts and the intentions in our day, so we can actually like attract all of that positivity towards us. So yeah, that's super, super special. Do you have any exercises like that I just shared, like around the mirror challenge and so on?
I do a morning routine every morning. I am still trying to meditate. Sitting in one place and meditating is still hard for me, but I can do it for like 5-10 minutes. Focusing on the breath, and then I do my own subconscious programming, which is also like kind of reading affirmation, some might say, but mine is like more addressed towards my deepest fears that I need to overcome. And definitely, I visualize the best outcomes that I want to happen today, next week, in the near future. And then I do read and write. So something from one of my favorite books. Dr. Joseph Murphy is one of my favorite authors. So I pick a page, I read it, I share it if I feel like, and then I write gratitude journal or success journal, and then I work out. But exercising has been included from this year for like 30 minutes. Previously, I used to do only 100 jumps.
Yeah.
So this is like my morning routine I do. And then in nights, I try to be like really, really calm, not be in a rush, and do the subconscious programming, and also write gratitude journal. What 3 things were like so blissful today, So I write that, and it helps me a lot to notice the little beautiful things and enjoy it to the fullest. It helps a lot for me to train my mind to notice the good that is already happening in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. And you mentioned a lot of like really cool things, like visualization is like huge, like in the space of allowing us to have a good mental health, and journaling, particularly the gratitude journal, is something that allows us to reflect, right? And so I think a really good balance of what I work with, at least, is every morning it's about awareness, like understanding where we are, setting the intentions for the day. Then we have our day, and then in the evening it's about the reflection. So it's bringing back awareness to ourselves and reflecting on the day. And you can also set some like intentions for tomorrow as well, like Marie Forleo, who's like a really like famous coach, been on the On Purpose podcast with Jay Shetty and so on. Hers is like everything is figure outable, and like that's her book. And in her book she has a little process before bed that she'll write down a couple of things, like it's just more empowering stuff, like saying, tomorrow when I wake up, I'm going to wake up with energy. When I wake up, I'm going to wake up and ready to start my day. When I wake up, I'm going to be here. And then ultimately it's like, if there's a problem tomorrow, everything is figure outable. So that way it's going, okay, well, any problem is solvable. I can fix that problem. It doesn't matter. I can deal with it. And just having that as like the reflection, the intention for the next day can be really, really powerful too. So, yeah, I think like that's such a cool thing you mentioned. What was the name of the author that you mentioned?
Dr. Joseph Murphy.
Awesome.
Yeah, I have read almost all of his books. I don't know what, there is some beautiful connection between me and his books. Like, if I just read it for like 2 minutes or 5 minutes, I go to a very peaceful, calm state of mind. I mean, trust myself, trust divine, trust life, and it happens so quickly. It's so beautiful. Like, he has this bestseller, Power of Subconscious Mind, and he has put all the best parts of the other books into that one. So I highly recommend that book. And I think, it might be crazy, but I think I was him in my previous life. There
Yeah.
is that much of connection. It's so amazing. It's such a gift. These books are such wonderful gifts to this world.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think, yeah, it's good when you like connect with someone or with their messaging. For that, like on my side, that person's like Jay Shetty. I like when I was going through like my hardest sort of like time more recently, I just found his content, his podcasts, his books, went to his world tour show when he came over to Australia, and like it just helped me out so much just to like reconnect with myself and understand myself, and then realize that actually helping people is like a really good thing. And you mentioned that when you were struggling, you said you were working in IT and you realized that that isn't fulfilling. That like that space for you wasn't something that you woke up and you're like, oh yeah, I get to go to work today. And so I feel like a lot of people experience that. They experience that they're just waking up to go to a job that doesn't really fulfill them, doesn't give them purpose. And then the only purpose of them doing that job is to bring money in to then take care of the family. And so it was exactly the same for me. It was like I was over a decade in the finance industry, and what I found was I enjoyed it and I was good at it, but then it didn't fulfill me. I lost my way with it and I didn't really have a purpose, and it became very meaningless for me. And I started resenting it. And so like I knew I needed to change. And yeah, so like what you mentioned is once you found something that fulfilled you, ultimately led you to your purpose. And I think that's like one thing that everyone says, find your purpose and and whatnot. And it's so difficult. It's real, like, it is really hard to understand what your purpose in life is. And for me, it took so long, and it just came from my own personal healing journey, where it was a case of actually helping people, and I think that's like, yeah, like really, really cool. You mentioned a couple of times now, actually, like at the start you mentioned about your second life, and just before you mentioned your previous life. Tell me a bit about that, because I'm super interested in the world of being reincarnated, and having previous life experience prior to the life as we embody it today, and also what is next and where I will show up later. Now, for context, I'm not a religious person, and I'm not, and I would never even really say I've like been overly spiritual. However, when it comes to the afterlife and previous life, that's something that's always naturally been within me. I've felt it. It's like a soul connection for me. So I wonder for you, like how that feels and where that comes from for you.
So, in India, it is what said since your like childhood by parents or people around. Here, the religious customs are like focused so much. Like you have to do a good deed, only then you will go to, like heaven. And even if you are born in another life, there will be a good life when you do good deeds. So we are like taught like that. So that is how I got that idea. But from my learnings, there is no guarantee, there is no certainty that it would happen. But there could be many reasons why elders have imposed that in us. I don't believe in it 100% too. I believe in the present, in this life, whatever the good we can do, let's do it, because that is the certainty we can have to feel good, basically. So, and there are like many spiritual books which talk a lot about like afterlives, and I have recently, very very recently, only in the last 5 to 6 months, I have been trying to connect with Indian spiritual lessons. Before that, I was learning a lot of Western lessons, even though I am from India, and I see that it is actually rooting back to India. All those things are rooting back to the East culture. And for some questions, why some people are suffering, like why some person, like, even they are highly vibrational, they are like short in a day. Why is that happening? So, there could be some answers from the previous life, or the karma, their deeds from the previous life, but there is no certainty. So I'm not very attached to that idea, but I'm open to explore. I tried to go to ashrams here in India, in the northwest part, and I went to an ashram and I asked them, like, what is the purpose of life? They said, like, we have to go to the desireless state and so close to divine. I have heard this a lot. And then I asked them further, like, what is the purpose of that? And they didn't have any answer. And that person kind of got so mad, and there's no really answer. Nobody knows that. That's the truth. I used to be in this confusion cycle before few years, and I thought, what? I'm so confused. I'm not able to figure out this. So let me figure out how to be happy and find a career that makes me happy. So I shifted my focus, but it comes back to that same like questions then and there. But yeah, this is how I feel about it overall.
Yeah, no, I love that, and it definitely makes sense as well. And like what you said, it's really funny. You've gone, looked at the Western culture, and then it's come back. Whereas for me, I'm like, I've always looked to East. Like, because when, like, from my travel experiences and stuff like that, I really connect with people, or at least with the cultures which are very family orientated. And what I feel in growing up in the UK and in Australia, and it could be potentially my own personal circumstance. Like, I grew up in a very small family unit, mum, dad, my sister, and we moved to Australia. So none of our actual other family members were really close for a long time, and even when we lived in the UK, they weren't close either. But what I see in Australia and the UK is everyone sort of is in it for themselves, and there's not much like care for elder generations. And it's once you move out, it's your life and your family, which would be your partner and your kids, and there's not so much to do with like your parents or your grandparents. And and that could be more of the commonality, and it might be the rare occasion that it's they are like that real connected internal family. But I feel like when I've been to like places like Vietnam, for example, it's so connected, and even in Africa, it's so connected that family looks after family, and everyone does something for the family. Whether it be their parents or their grandparents, they're also interconnected. And I feel like that's so beautiful, and it's like a really good way and a good culture. And it's, for me, Western culture is just like, I don't even know what it is. Like, what is Western culture apart from just a mess of disconnectedness? I don't know if that makes sense to you. Is that what you found when you were looking at like stuff in the West, or?
No, for me, it's like, the grass is greener on the other side. That kind of a thing here. Here, of course, there is more family involvement, and it also comes with it, like pros and cons. There is like so much of demand, sometimes even unhealthy patterns and control, which is really, really hard for many of us here. And breaking through that was very, very tough for me. And I actually kind of, I grew up in a nuclear family, but they were like, at times they were like relatives staying with us and all that things. But even then, it's like, even if it is like a nuclear family setup, but my parents, they had the mind patterns from their parents. So it was like literally the conditions were like almost same. There is definitely more family connection, but it depends. I see most of the families here have like unhealthy patterns, just blindly following the crowd, because there's no real awareness about mental health and living with fulfillment. It's more about getting the external validation of the like people around in the society. So there is more focus on that, which is really draining for many people. And most of the people here are lost, just like there, 99% of the world,
Yeah.
it's negative and they are lost finding their way. Me myself, even now, I'm lost in some ways. I'm still figuring out. So
Yeah.
it's like how we see it and take it and move on. It's not like it's the best, it's how we make the best out of what we already have. I think
Yeah.
we can take the good learnings from some cultures and create a new culture and tradition and go ahead, because we are going to be the like ancestors for the next generation. So let's create healthy patterns.
Yeah, exactly. No, that actually makes a lot of sense. And it's funny, hey, like, yeah, the grass is greener when you on the other side, but it's actually greener where you water it, right? So it's yeah, no, that's actually fascinating, because it's something like I just observed. Like, my I have a friend in Vietnam, and like her family, they have 3 houses next to each other on the same street, and they have their shop downstairs, and they all work for each other, and they all have different roles and responsibilities, but they're always doing something for each other. And then they go out and whatnot. But like, from like my experience, it's like, once you're, for me, when I was 18, it was like, okay, move out, that's your life, we're here to support if you need, but that's that. And then so you sort of like go out and you're guided in that way. And then I guess like on the other side, it's like, from, I don't know if this is like being stereotype or like generalizing, but I have like friends from India as well, and they've had the experience of a lot of pressure from family around, do this, like this is what we want you to do. And then to actually break free from that has been extraordinarily difficult, because if you're going against what your parents say, and your parents are the people that you respect the most, it's you're fighting with your you're fighting with like the thought of disappointing your family, but you're also fighting with your own sense of self-identity and who you want to become, you know, because from what I can tell is you feel like my friends have followed that guidance and they don't know really who they are or what they're meant to be, because they followed that guidance. But then if they go against that guidance, then they're like, am I a good child, you know? Like, and I don't want to disappoint my family. Is that like, is that a common thing you think in India?
Absolutely. That is what I meant by, there is like unhealthy patterns of demand and control. It can be with even the very littlest things. You can't imagine, like, even from like drinking water, eating, how we wash the plates, like every little thing is
Mm,
monitored and groomed, and there is constant sayings of do that, do this. And it's very rare to find healthy patterns where the children are let to be independent decision makers, which can be done from the teenage, but it's not, in practice, because we are all victims of victims. Like they have
yeah,
also been lived like that, and they wanted to be the good child, good daughter, good daughter-in-law, good son-in-law for the families they got married to. So, like being that good person for the family is very important, but also, uh, it's really hard to be like that. It's important, but it's really, really hard to feel free. And I have seen people like they can be like even like really affluent and stuff, but those kids wouldn't have any privacy in their own home. So
yeah,
I was like, it's so different. The issues are different, and yeah, there is definitely a lot of controlling and like micromanaging, I can say, at home. So
yeah, yeah. No, that, yeah, that it definitely makes sense. That's what I've like heard and like witnessed in a couple of friends, and yeah, it's like so fascinating. And do you think that has like an impact on, like, I imagine it would like have a big impact on like the mental health of some people, like because it does get confusing if you're micromanaged. There's like a little extra stress. Do you feel that that could or has impacted mental health where you are?
yes, it is the major source of one of the like unhealthy patterns people have here. At the 18 years of age, it is essential to have a psychological separation from your protectors, to be out on your own and to feel that world is really safe. You know, I went on my first solo trip in my state itself, and I was like 26 or 27 only,
Mm,
and it took me a lot of bravery, and I had to, I got all the worst case scenarios in my mind from the news channels my parents used to see and feed their mind with negativity, and we'd be also like around feeding that negativity in our mind, and all the worst case scenarios just come up. What if that happens, this happens, and I have to say, like, no, nothing such will happen. Like, divine is always with me, and I had to go make that positive proof happen. And it was
mm,
so difficult, and it didn't have to be so difficult. It could have been a very easy thing. World is really so good. And it helped me to know that world is really safe, and there are so many good people who appreciate this breakthrough as well. I didn't know that. I thought I would be judged, and it could be really hard. I had to pack extra, all safety items to make myself safe and everything. And there is nothing dangerous like they show in the news, where they magnify the worst case scenarios.
yeah,
World is mostly good, life is mostly good, and we need to train our mind to notice the good that we already have. It is not really bad like many people say and worsen it.
yeah. No, I definitely agree on that. And I remember a very similar experience to yours when traveling. Like, you hear all the stuff in the news, your parents are concerned about this and that. And like, my parents have always been super chill. They just like my mum actually just goes, you don't even have to phone me up. Just, as long as I see you post on Instagram like every couple of days, then I know you're okay. I'm like, okay, perfect. So it gives me that freedom. But I remember with my ex-wife, when we were looking at going traveling together for like the first time, her parents were like really concerned, and I think it was either Bali or Vietnam. and they were like concerned and being like, oh, have you seen this in the news and this and this and this and all of the dark, scary stuff. But when you actually go and you start experiencing other cultures, other places, other people, you like none of that happens. Like it's the I would go as far to say it's like the 0.1%. It's not even 1%. It's like the 0.1% of anything that happens. That is the one thing that gets on the news. But like the 99.9% of stuff, all of the good stuff, all the enjoyable stuff, doesn't go out. Like it doesn't get out there unless you're on YouTube looking at like traveler vlogs and stuff, you know. And that's like, you know, I think yes theory actually plays such a really important role for people going into certain parts of the world like Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, stuff like that, because they've gone and they've actually showed a different side that you can travel there safely providing you're smart and you have the right security with you. It's not a dark, scary place, and the people are so lovely. And I think there's certain roles that they play which are really, really good to actually see that you can actually have the confidence to go and experience these things. And I think travel is, for me, is such a core component of the business that I'm building, because that's what helped me, you know, have amazing travel experiences. And just by taking that jump, and I wonder if this is the same for you, but what I would say is like for people taking that brave step, like being courageous and having bravery to actually go and travel somewhere, whether you're on your own or just with one other friend or even in a group, but taking that step to travel to then learn about a new culture, what you'll find is you'll find other people which are doing the same thing, and that those other people are sort of like that community. So you're having your adventure, you're in a community of other like-minded people, and you're also educating yourself as you go, because anytime you travel you learn new things about yourself, and you learn things about other people, and you learn things about other culture. And that's like the fundamental foundation of just another moment. So I wonder, has that been your experience when it's come to traveling?
Yes, travel just opened up a whole new set of neural paths in my mind. Everybody, I would say, definitely do, like, go beyond your living circumstances, because life is so beautiful out of the comfort zone. And traveling has helped me heal a lot.
Mm,
It helped me see the brighter side of life. I used to be extremely religious, but after lockdown, I became so free. But the divine connection was only after that. When I healed myself, when I was able to travel, I was able to improve the trust in life that it is good.
yeah.
I told you, right? Like, I was able to, like, find a place in Thailand, in North Thailand, where I can leave my luggage there for a few hours and go find a place for myself.
Mm,
And I'm so, grateful that I had a calm nervous system to be able to access my intuitive insight that it will be safe there. So that could have never happened if I was in the same boring, like routine working for IT, being the same pessimistic person. No, I went out of my comfort zone and it healed me, like knowing my intuitive divine being voice and the people there, to be able to trust some stranger who took care of my luggages, because I couldn't imagine myself carrying it around. And I would say it healed me. It healed um, me, like some parts that was like so, like big deep, which is not like not explored. So it healed me. I became freer, more
mm,
trusting. I think that is the part of connection with divine, when you are able to trust that, I'll figure it out, it's gonna be good, it's gonna be all straight. That is the greatest sign of having a beautiful divine connection. And it happened when I got out of the religion I was born into. And I placed those bags in a temple,
yeah.
Wat Lok Moli, in Chiang Mai, Thailand.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's amazing, and it's so true. Like with travel, is you can. you can go to a place that you've never been before and feel safer, like emotionally safer within yourself than where you are at home, you know. And that's like the crazy thing, and that's what I found. And that's why my 3-week trip to Africa ended up being like 11 months because I was just like, I just didn't feel safe in my environment, like emotionally. Like physically I'm safe, I can go outside in the middle of the night and be completely fine, but emotionally I like, even now I still have this like certain anxiety buzz around the place that I am. And like my best experience was literally Africa, when I spent that I spent 6 weeks in Africa. And the first 3 weeks was meeting up with a couple of people from Slovakia, did a road trip, went on like safari and you know, like all of these amazing experiences. But it was when I got back to like the volunteer sort of accommodation, where there was like a group of, you know, 10, 12 other volunteers, whether they'd be working in orphanages, teaching in schools, working at the hospital, like whatever they were doing, you know, law and stuff like that. But they were all there for like a similar mission, and that really gave me time to connect with other people, connect with myself, find that peace, and then continue to have these experiences in a safer, like in a emotionally safe state. And I think like getting to that is so important. And you mentioned you know, you treat unresolved trauma, and I think like that trauma like sits ultimately within our body, you know, like it's, you know, it's the unresolved energy, unused energy, which gets stored. And this is something that I practice in breath work, is how can we like use our breath, how can we use breath work to release that energy, to release that trauma. And there's so many different ways, of course. But yeah, like with traveling, it's just it's a really peaceful way where you can ultimately just connect with yourself, and you don't have to go fast and move quickly through that. And you know, and then you'd learn as well that other cultures like are really safe. Like leaving your luggage, you know, if you left your luggage somewhere for 3 hours in Brisbane, for example, or definitely at least in London, if you left your luggage alone for 3 hours in London, like there'll be a bomb squad, there'll be police, there'll be a whole situation, because they'll be like, that's suspicious, like, you know. And that's the anxiety that sits within the culture. And you know, Singapore, you can go there and leave your phone on the coffee table, go out all day, come back and pick up your phone off the coffee table, no one will take it, you know. And it's yeah, it's like really, really cool. But yeah, and I saw on your website as well that you spent some time teaching in orphanages. Like, can you tell me a little bit about that? Because I had a similar experience last year in Africa, and like I adored it, and I can't wait to go back and do it again.
So yes, so I think I was like 2021. I was waiting for my call letter to go to the corporate job. So I had some time and I was like free. I was thinking, what shall I do? Then where I saw an opening in the nearby orphanage where there were like children who wanted like a tuition teacher to clear their doubts in their subjects. So I went there and there were a lot of children, and I was teaching them like English, math, science subjects. It was so beautiful, and so many of them were like very sincere. And I learned a lot from, like those kids and how they find happiness in little things. And when we connect with that young energy, we also like, kind of tap into that energy we already have in us. So it was a very beautiful experience that is really close to my heart. I hope I do it more and more, especially in terms of giving education. I think that is very, very noble to anybody. Of course, the children, for whom the subconscious mind is like wet until they are 7. So it is very noble to me. I think everyone can take a phase in their life where they contribute with their time and energy as much as they can.
Yeah, yeah, and I think like that's so true. And I can't remember the exact 5 things which really contribute to a good mental health, but one of them is giving to others, giving back, and like really giving yourself, like, not giving yourself away, but like giving yourself to a higher purpose, right? And I think that's like so important. And what I feel like working in the corporate environments is we do give ourselves, we give so much of ourselves, and there's little appreciation, little reward coming from that. The only reward you really get is the financial reward at the end of the month. But when you're volunteering and you're giving back in teaching, in orphanages, and you're having these experiences with people, like, they're so grateful that you're even there spending your time with them, that you just like, there's no way that you can't come from that and be like, that was an amazing experience. You know, I'm sure like there's some people go, I didn't like it, but when it comes to connecting with good mental health, giving to others or giving back, whether it be financial aid or time, most importantly, I would say time, just really is such a beautiful thing, like for a healthy mental health. What do you think are like really important for you when it comes to these experiences and giving back to others, like for your own mental health?
Could you please rephrase that question?
Yeah, so like when it comes to your own mental health, what do you think is like so like really important for you in that practice to make sure you have a good mental health, and like around the experiences of giving to others, of course, but then like other things as well that can like really help uplift you?
So I think it's part of the human needs. Tony Robbins say that we have 6 human needs: certainty, uncertainty, love and connection, significance, contribution, and growth. So contribution is one of our human needs. And my work is full of contribution. Like, it's got everywhere. Like, I make posts every day. I give, like free bees in my website and everything. So with orphanages, it's like, it's for the people who need it. They need it so much than, the average crowd. So if everybody from the average crowd is contributing, I don't think there would be orphanages. So for our mental health, when we can do something better, we can choose to do that.
Mm.
And I think when we do that, it's more than giving to them. It's like, giving peace to ourselves. It's grooming our self identity. So I think in that way, like, I did something good, and it makes an impact. It makes a difference in somebody's life. I think that thought itself will improve the mental health of a person.
Yeah, I definitely, I really connect with that. And like one of my experiences personally has been, I was trying to work out what brings me joy and happiness in my life, and it was like a really interesting conversation actually. But it was sort of like around when I realized that actually giving to others, like helping other people, really makes me happy, that aligns with my purpose. And if you took that ability away from me, I would feel very, very lost. Like if I could never help anyone out again, like I would almost question my existence, right? And then so the question that was posed to me, it was quite a challenging one to sort of figure out an answer, because it was, if your purpose or if your meaning or purpose in life is to give to other people so you can find happiness, what brings you like what would bring you happiness without that? And I was like, I was so lost with it, because I was like, I don't know, like I don't think there could be anything more than bringing joy to other people, helping other people, educating other people. That, for me, that is so important. And for other people, it's absolutely not. Other people, it's about making as much money as possible and going getting a beer with the boys, or like whatever it is. But for me, it came down to, I actually think my life is meant to be for other people. My life isn't meant to be necessarily for me. I'm just the soul in the body and the mind that is able to deliver the help to other people. You know, that's genuinely how I feel. And then the question became, is that healthy for you to be in that existence? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I've really like struggled with that. And to some extent, it's like, is it selfish of me to help other people because that's what brings me joy? Right? Like, if you look at it on that basis, I only help other people because that brings me joy. So the act itself of helping is something of a selfish act, because the intention behind it is actually to give me that peace and purpose and meaning in life. But then I I went back to that and said, how could it be bad that I'm helping other people? You know, as long as I'm not like hurting other people for my own happiness or sense of fulfillment, helping other people ultimately is going to be a good thing. And that's sort of where I sat at it, you know. So the question, I guess, like for myself to answer would be, you know, should I become a number one priority where I can be happy without that purpose versus that? But I wonder, like, with your sense of purpose and what your fulfillment comes from, is that something that you've had in your mind like play out?
That's a very interesting question. And to add to that, I would say it's really such a privilege to find happiness in giving to others. Not many can do that, of course. Like you said, you know, it's most of the people are focused on their, you know, like money making for themselves and their family, and it takes a lot of greatness to find happiness in giving for others. For me, if I am not able to do that, then I would think being happy myself is the best service to the world, because hurt people.
Yeah.
And if I am happy, I'm fulfilled with anything that I'm doing. I'm not sure, I can't even see myself out of being a coach or a mentor. That's the truth, to be honest. But even in that things, I think I would somehow, you know, find a way to make myself happy, to do things, to do good things with whatever I have, and give that as the best service. So that I can do. But at a point, I also had this, you know, bit of a confusion. Then I was like, you know, I'm not like completely giving myself to that. There is also some things that I'm giving to myself too. So definitely, you know, giving to others, it is actually giving to me for feeding into my fulfillment, for uh, feeding into my clarity. So, you know, it's how we see it. We can only see it from the perspective of being selfish or, you know, like giving. So we can choose what makes us feel better and go ahead with it, because, you know, like not too much of time being confused about it, it's gonna help.
Yeah.
So I was there like you told. But I think there is definitely more good giving to others, and in ways like, you know, somehow it just goes to others. Whatever we are, even if a person is like very focused only on themselves, earning money, you know, even for their family, it definitely impacts somehow. But this is like conscious impact, and there is higher purpose, and we can definitely focus on the bright side and move ahead happily.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love it. And I definitely think when I came back around to it, it was um even if it means you have to be a little bit selfish, ultimately you're being selfless, because like the act of giving is a selfless act, regardless if there's a little tiny bit of selfishness in there for personal gain in the sense of fulfillment or purpose. Now, I think it's a very different thing to be like, I help people so I can gain financially, without that purpose being like, I would do this for free. So if people only enter something for the financial gain versus the fulfillment or the purpose within, like, that's a different story, I would say. But like if I had $2 million, $3 million, or $1 billion in the bank, it doesn't matter. I would do this for free anyway. Like I would literally do it for free because I just want to give as much value to other people and help as many people as possible. So yeah, it's so cool that we're like so aligned on our missions. I love it.
That's so beautiful. Life is mysteriously good in many ways too, like bringing people together who have such a great purpose aligned. And I think when you are so sure, like even if I have a lot of money in my bank, this is what I'm gonna do, and I can do it for free as well. So that means that is your right purpose for sure. And that's a very beautiful thing that you have found that certainty, because like there are so many people in 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s trying to find that. That's really beautiful.
Yeah, no, I feel very lucky that at this stage, like I'm 31 at the moment, I feel really lucky that I've found where I want to be going. I've found my purpose in life. I found my meaning in life. And now the struggle and the challenge is making that something that can last, like making this purpose, meaning, and fulfillment last for the next 40, 50, 60 years whilst I'm still around. And that's the thing. But I always say, like, I won't stop and I will never give up on the mission to help as many people as possible, because if I do give up, if I stop doing what I'm doing, then I don't know, like I wouldn't know if I could live with myself, and I'd probably fall back into that place that I was, years ago, where you just feel lost in life. And yeah, it's awesome. I've absolutely loved our conversation. Is there anything that you want to add, or anything that you want to share, anything like that? Yeah, the floor is
Yes,
yours.
definitely. I want to add. You're saying that it's gonna last for like 40, 60 years. No, it's gonna last for many generations from now. We're gonna break the unhealthy pattern. It's gonna, like that person whom you're gonna help, they are going to also like impact the other people in their life. I helped the mom who was like so angry to her child because of postpartum depression. Now she's so kind to her child. That kindness is also going to be spread to that child's child in the future. So there is always going to be a ripple effect. So it doesn't stop in 40, 60 years. It's going to go on for generations and generations. And we are so gifted that we got the depression in, like, it was such a blessing in disguise. And I'm 31 too.
Yeah, there you go. How cool. Wow, like what a journey we've had. Started our mental health crisis when we were 15, and look at where we are now. So that's really cool.
That is good.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you're definitely right with that. It's generational, and like the best example I can say with that is like Jim Rohn is like a really world famous coach. He's obviously coached Tony Robbins and Mark Hughes, and like all of the big coaches that have popped up over the years. And now Tony Robbins goes out and delivers his messages, and out of that he's built really good successful coaches, and they flow on that message. And it's like one voice can impact, if my voice can impact one person, and your voice can impact one person, and they impact one person, it just spreads. Like it spreads like wildfire. And I think that's like the most important thing. And when I was looking at it, I was like, if I can help 50 people over 50 years, but each of those 50 people also help 50 people over 50 years, my one action has helped 125,000 people. Now, if you spread that one more step, then it's like 6 million people get impacted. And that's the power of a voice for good. And I think we're definitely on the right mission. So yeah, do you want to share your socials, your website, and anything that you want to share, anything that's coming up that you're doing at the moment as well? Yeah, you can totally go ahead and promote yourself and share everything that you're doing.
Yes, so basically now currently I'm open to take a lot of one-on-one, like mentorship applicants. So that is something which is very personal to me because I connect to that person so much, and I love that subconscious programming sessions where I know them with all their vulnerable thoughts and I help to change that for better. So my socials, it's like Shiva.mentors, SHIVA.mentors. So if you Google it, you will be able to see my videos. And of course, my channel names and websites are subject to change because I risk a lot. So somehow, if you put this term, you will be able to find me. And I also have like free one-on-one consultations. People can talk to me. They can express their suppressed emotions in a very healthy, structured way, in a safe space that I myself want long for. So yes, there are some group mentoring options available as well. And I also have a vision to like have a healing tour kind of a thing. Take people in groups, talk to them, connect with them, share lessons in nature, uh, talk about it, connect with ourselves in group. That is also one of my visions. I had that realization when I went on a solo travel for the very first time. I realized it will be so nice to have people. So that is not clear yet. How am I going to do? Maybe we
Yeah.
can collab in the future.
I was I was just about to say, I was like, let's do something. I think it's adventure community education. Like my business philosophy is people help people, business help people, business help business. And it all comes from the heart. So if we're doing everything from our heart, then it's kindness and love only. And like the ultimate thing with that is, if I help someone succeed, that just fulfills me. Like, I don't need anything back. And it goes to Simon Squibb always saying, give without take, give without expectation, because if you're doing the right thing, you're helping other people. One day that will come back anyway, but there's no expectation for that. And yeah, absolutely. Like, empower, heal, connect. Like, the whole thing is about putting ourselves out in nature and connecting with ourselves, connecting with others, and connecting with nature itself. And if we can do that, and then we can learn some things whilst having amazing experiences, like how can it be bad? And with Just Another Moment, like the value of doing a Just Another Moment tour isn't just the fact that you're doing a tour, it's that you're getting the coaching within that tour as well. So the way I structure it is very much how I live my life. Is you start the day with intentions. So you do a little bit of like mental fitness practice, then you set your intentions, then you have your day or the activity. In the evening, you do your reflections and maybe a little workshop education. So like you're always sort of learning. And that's where the value comes, right? Because I could say, hey, we're going to go on a safari and we're going to, check out these animals. We're not going to do anything else. We're just going on this group trip together. Why would you book with me? What's different about that versus booking with someone that's been doing it for 20 years? Well, the difference is we add these morning mindfulness, like mental fitness, mindfulness practices, evening reflections, workshops, and everyone walks away with tools and resources that they can use every single day to help them with their mental fitness to ultimately lead to a better mental health. So yeah, if you want to connect and talk more, then let's do something. Like I think it would be amazing. And the whole journey is to explore the world and travel the world with other like-minded people and uplift and help business grow ultimately. So yeah.
Yes, we can definitely do that. I'm looking forward to that. It will be amazing. You can bring your learnings, I can bring my learnings. And definitely it's a unique selling point of like, this tour it's not normal trip or a vacation. You are going to escape from the normal life. You're going to find treasures and you're gonna take it back home. And you can find like-minded people, find friends there, and find positive proofs, like maybe the host, you or me or anybody, like, they are going to bring positive proofs to focus on rather than being fearful. So that's really amazing.
Yeah. Well, super looking forward to it. So yeah, we'll definitely stay connected. But I just want to say thank you so much today for your time. I really appreciate it. You've actually given me a lot of I've made a bunch of notes. So there's a lot for me to to just unpack like within myself. You know, a couple of things that popped up were definitely around the alpha brainwaves, the bravery, recognizing yourself, the awareness of self, finding balance of what you do for yourself, but also what you do for others. And yeah, like and obviously the 6 human needs with Tony Robbins as well. I definitely need to like unpack that a bit more as well. So yeah, no, thank you so much. You've been like super valuable, and I hope that for anyone watches this or listens to this, you go back and listen to it again, take notes along the way, because there's so many good little parts in here that you can learn. And if there's anything that you want to do with the Shiva, definitely reach out. Shiva.mentors on Instagram. I'll put up the links and everything else. And yeah, thank you all for being here, and thank you, Shiva, as well.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really feel so privileged to be able to connect with you. I hope the audio noises are not so loud. So I'm looking forward to connect more with you and serve better. And like, this is one of the best experiences today. Thank you so much. And of course, I learned a lot of new things from you as well. With that mirror writing, I will like to try that as well. So yeah, let's share more of our learnings with each other. I'm feeling very blessed and very grateful in this moment for our alignment.